So we've talked about foreign language learning, but a specific form of language learning, for instance, learning a foreign language, so-called embodied language learning. Research has found that learning foreign vocabulary works better if you use your body while you're doing this. So one thing you can think of is making so-called hand gestures, manual gestures, while you're learning a language. And how this works, for instance, is that if you're practicing learning certain words in a language that you don't know yet, and you make at the same time a gesture that corresponds to the word that you're learning, in the end, you will remember this word better. So for instance, again, if you're studying French vocabulary, if this is a new language to you, you want to learn French words. And for instance, you're learning the French verb, the French word for to drink. If you practice this, so you pronounce the French word for to drink, and at the same time, you make a drinking gesture with your hand, this works better than when you just practice without making this gesture. So it really seems like if you use your body while you're learning this foreign language, this sort of works better than compared to when you're not doing this. Obviously, also VR can be used to help you with this. So in a couple of studies, a research group has been developing what they call pedagogical agents that you can meet, that you can encounter in virtual reality, that sort of help you practicing foreign vocabulary. So for instance, you would be learning French words, and this pedagogical agent, and they called it Billy in this case, this guy here, Billy, would really help you. So it would speak a word to you, for instance, first in English and then in French, and at the same time makes a gesture related to it. And in this way, you will recall this new word better compared to when you not see this gesture being made at the same time. So you're really looking at someone who uses their body. And if you also make the gesture then yourself, you will recall this foreign word better than when you don't do this. And again, a nice advantage of this method is that this virtual pedagogical agent will always be there, right? So it can just be in your smartphone, in your pocket. It can help you learn a foreign language, learn foreign vocabulary whenever you like. So also at night, also during the weekends, you're not dependent on an actual person that might have limited time available for you, right? So you don't have to go to a teacher in a certain school, travel there, etc. This virtual pedagogical agent is just always there for you to always help you whenever you like, whenever you have time, whenever you're sitting on the train, for instance, etc. That's one example of using your body, the role of the body in applications that make use of VR to learn a foreign language. Another example, another part of language is not just words, but there are also all sorts of ways in which we use our body when we're communicating. And one very specific example is the kind of bodily cultural greetings that might be very important. So when you're in a different culture, when you're in a different speech community, there might be some very speech community specific gestures that might mean certain things. So for instance, in Japan, it might be very important to make a certain to bow in a certain way, to make a sort of body movement in a certain way when you're greeting when you're greeting someone. And this you might have to learn, right? If you want to go to Japan, you might want to behave in the appropriate cultural specific way. And definitely you don't want to make any body movements that can be offensive to the local community. Well, this is typically something you can also practice in VR. So you can practice those very culturally specific bodily movements with, for instance, in this case, those virtual agents that you see there. And really, you can also get feedback from them. So you can practice this movement, this bodily movement. And if you then make a mistake, if you, for instance, by accident make the wrong movement, it's not so bad because you're making it to virtual agents and you're not making it while you're in this different community. So it won't be offensive to anyone. Those virtual agents, they don't care if you do something offensive, but they can give you feedback saying, well, better not do this, better do it in the other way. Let me show you how to do it. And then over time, you practice this before you, for instance, would go to Japan. And then you know what to do. So you can be more sure that you won't be doing anything that they don't really like over there.